Howdy, I'm Grey Pilgrim. Well, as you know, I usually make gun videos, and that is one of my major hobbies, but I have other things I'm interested in. This is an example of one. This is a little stand I found that I have my pipe collection in. Now this side, these are all church wardens of one kind or another, and these are my what are called Missouri Mershams. And here's a bunch of briar pipes I've got. Yeah, it's just something I do. Well, the last video or so I did, I was showing off the fact that my cousin and I both had a bad case of cabin fever and decided to get the heck out of here and head west over to the coast. Excuse me, I'm going outside. As you can see, well, I don't know if you can see it, but I can feel it. It's wet, dank, miserable day here in God's country. It's not exactly fun. And we decided, well, as long as we're going to be sitting out in the, or walking around out in the cold and the wet, might as well do it by the ocean. So we did. And one thing we did out there was go around antique stores. And another interest of mine besides guns is I'm an amateur machinist. And we were looking around. I'm looking for tools, of course. And let me turn the lights on. I'm here in my shop. Let me turn my lights on. By the way, this is a cool sander. Get over here. I don't have these all automated. I got to walk around and find the switches and go click, and then walk way over here and click another. That one. And there, now I got enough light I can actually see. Oh, let's go over here. Here's my lathe, by the way. It's a Grizzly G0602. It's pretty nice. And you'll notice that I've got rags all over everything. That's because here in Oregon, this is an unheated shop, and things will get, water will condense on them. I've treated everything down with oils, so they don't get too rusty, but they'll get rusty. If I'm working out here, we run this propane heater. Here's a parts washer. Here's my Dalton lathe, which is a pretty interesting one. I restored it. Again, I've got rags all over it. And over there is my Precision Matthews mill drill. But the other thing I'm into are toolboxes. This is one of two named Kennedy toolboxes I've got. But I've got these drawered toolboxes are very much my style. So I'll grab any kind of drawered toolbox. Here's another one, and here's another one. By the way, these are all loaded with tools of one kind or another. Here's a Craftsman. Well, I picked that up at Ace Hardware. And here, this is my other named Kennedy. See, it's got Kennedy right there. And besides these, I've got this, which is not a Kennedy, but this is a Kennedy or Kennedy-like. It's like a clone made to look like a Kennedy. It has exactly the same kind of drawers on it. Here's a U.S. General. This is from Harbor Freight, and it was one of my first ones. All of these are loaded full of mainly machinist tools. Like there's a dial indicator from Starrett. This one, I bought this last week in Lincoln City. That was one of the things in an antique store I found. It does not have Kennedy on it here. But it is exactly like a Kennedy, only it's extra wide. And I've loaded it full of all my old tools of one kind or another. And oh gosh, well here, open this one up. You can see I have some really nice antique machinist tools. The thing about machinist tools is even the antiques still work, and they work well. So, oh gosh, there. So like this is an old Dual. That's an isosceles square, and things like that. But this thing, I think I paid $230 for it used. These things are outrageously expensive to find. the two highest end toolboxes in the machinist world you can get is the metal Kennedys and the wooden Gertschners. Well, I don't have a Gertschner, but I do have Kennedys. And those are neat. I mean, it's just neat to be able to walk over and find stuff you need to do a job, you know? So that's just, like here's a Brown and Sharp thing. I think that's the General. And I don't know, I think that's also a General. And these are last words. Those are Sterrets. In there. And, well, you know, just various things you might have. You might be able to use. Like, here's a rather large Sterret caliper thing. Yeah. But that's one thing I found today, or that day. The other thing was really neat. By the way, there's no such thing as just one lathe. You saw two. There's three. That's four. Well, I now have five. This little mini lathe was on the floor in one antique store. I paid 35 bucks for it. It's in horrible shape. It's a little tiny mini lathe, but it's, I figure if I just work on it, I can get these ways cleaned up. The tailstock and some of the screws and stuff I took out, and they're soaking over in evaporust at the moment. But this thing is just so awesome. See, that moves, you push this back and forth and it moves the this cross slide wherever you want to do stuff. And then this thing, I don't know exactly how things work. I don't even know what the brand is. I'll have to get the crud off to see whether it's got any kind of manufacturer's mark on it. By the way, this is where we do a lot of casting for bullets and reloading. You know, that's another hobby. I mean, it's kind of fun. Unfortunately, I have a leak, so from way up there, and that's what this tarp's covering up. That had been my metrology station. Oh well. I'm back in the office because I ended up with a low battery warning on this thing, and it just stopped recording. But anyway, you get the gist of what I was showing you. The various machine tools that I have. That, you know, all of them were surplus or junk that I picked up. You know, eBay is your friend. Anyway, happy trails.